Hey guys, I'm going to go through with you this example essay, literary analysis essay like you're going to be writing. And I hope you've looked and seen that this essay is due next Friday. So you've got this week and next week to work on your essay and to get an appointment with a tutor if you need it, which I would suggest to look over your essay. All of the documents for your essay are posted in last week's module, so you'll have to go back to last week's module to find this example paper, the rubric, and the actual assignment. So this paper is from an English 102 class with Mr. Halls a couple semesters ago. And I took this paper, and some of these comments, as you'll see, are from Mr. Halls. And I added some things and changed some things within the paper because I wanted you to have a really good example. The paper, as it was originally, was probably a B plus, A minus paper, but I added and changed some things that I think will help you have a good example from which to start. So first of all, as you're choosing which short story to write about in your paper, make sure that you pick a story that you would enjoy writing about. I know that should go without being said, but I think too many times students just maybe don't have a preference or don't think about what they want to write about and they randomly choose a story. Don't do that. Pick a story that you actually enjoyed and that you saw some purpose in or maybe related to in some way. This example's on The Lottery, and The Lottery is a story that we're reading this week and probably one of the most popular short stories. This and A Rose for Emily tend to be the stories that I feel like are most remembered from English 102. But anyway, we're going to talk about a few things in this. I couldn't figure out how to do the neat little comments like Mr. Halls did, so I'm just going to go over some things that I think you should notice in this essay. One of the biggest things is that this essay has to be written in MLA. Last semester, most of you probably took English 101 and you had to write your essay in APA format. And APA, to me and to most of my students whom I ask, is a lot more difficult than MLA. So MLA should be kind of like a breath of fresh air going back to that after having done APA in English 101. So this is all the information you'll need at the top. You'll insert a page number, type your last name in front of it. Make sure you don't just type a 1 because that will put a 1 on all of your subsequent pages. Make sure you actually insert a page number. And if there's anything as far as creating your document that you need help with, I know we're in an online class. I'll be happy to help you. You can make an appointment to come see me in person or just email me. I can even do a Zoom session with you and help you format your paper the way it needs to be. You will have a title for your literary analysis essay and try to make it something clever, not just symbolism, setting, and character in The Lottery. This student added subtle surprise because that was one of the focuses of her paper, is she wrote about how the ending of The Lottery was a surprise. Her introduction is not very long, and yours doesn't have to be either. It just needs to have a little bit of background about the story. There's no reason for you to retell the whole story for your reader. You're going to assume that your reader has already read and knows a little bit about the story. So she says Shirley Jackson's short story, The Lottery, showcases the element of surprise alongside horror. Readers are reeled in, and I like this part, by the familiarity of small town tradition and community, and then shocked by the sacrificial slaughter of one of the town's citizens. Jackson's startling turn of events is ushered in, good word choice there, by the use of literary elements. And I have this highlighted, obviously, because it's the thesis statement. Within her short story, The Lottery, Jackson utilizes symbolism, setting, and characterization to weave a story that serves as a warning regarding the blind following of tradition and a reminder that some people are capable of unimaginable brutality. Now, I added this last part about people are capable of unimaginable brutality. You could really focus just on one theme. And in most situations, it would probably make a better paper and be more focused if you focused on one theme. But I felt like these went hand in hand, and I hated to write about The Lottery without writing about how brutal the people were in The Lottery. So this was just personal preference. I didn't want to skip writing about that. So I added that to her paper. This first body paragraph focuses on symbols in the story, and it brings up the symbols of the black box, first of all, and it includes a quote about the black box. Evidence, though the box was, quote, splintered badly along one side, ... showing I'm leaving out part of that sentence, and in some places faded or stained, and that's the end of my quote. This is all I took directly from the story, okay? Then I incorporated that into my own sentence. I'm going to post this week, and it may be tomorrow before I get it posted, a document that will show you different ways, different strategies to incorporate quotes. None of the townspeople would entertain the idea of a new box being made. They sought to avoid upsetting tradition even to a small degree. So I worked in a part of the quote from Jackson's story into my own sentence, okay? And this was an idea of the students who wrote this paper. Another symbol was the stones themselves. An even more chilling symbol, and those were her words, good word choice. Jackson mentions the stones that will be used at the story's conclusion early and inconspicuously. This seemingly small detail becomes the means by which Tessie Hutchinson dies later in the story. And then she incorporated another quote. And side note, these are my in-text citations. The first time that I incorporate a quote from my story, and the only source you're using for this essay is the primary source, meaning the story itself, you'll use the last name of the author and the page number, okay? The page number from your book. Make sure you're using the story in your book because that's how we're going to cite it on the works cited page, okay? Also, this comma here is not necessary. We'll talk more about MLA in a few minutes. She also mentions the charcoal black dot that stands out on the white paper as a reminder to the townspeople that they live in a town that values tradition and ritual over human life. That was concluding enough for me to stop there because I did go back to the thesis and mention that these symbols are all a part of this following of tradition the town does, okay? My second body paragraph, or the student's second body paragraph, is about setting. And so she starts by saying, Jackson ironically, I like that, places the setting of this tragedy on a, quote, clear and sunny day. Here, Jackson leads the reader to believe that the events in the story will reflect the mood of the weather. To give more context, Jackson includes that it's summertime and the children are freshly out of school. So that's a complete sentence, colon, and then she incorporates a complete sentence quote from the story. That's another strategy to incorporate quotes. And so she explains how readers see the children playing. They see that the village seems normal, and I put quotes around normal because is there ever really such thing as normal? No. Tight-knit and caring. It's typical all-American. I like that word choice there. Complete with, and this is a great use of a quote, square dances, the teenage club, the Halloween program. And then I kind of changed her sentence here. She had a great idea. Civic events rarely coincide with murder rituals, so the ending of the story is all the more shocking when we realize the characters we assume to be conventional people, much like ourselves, possess the capacity to kill their neighbors in cold blood. The ending is all the more thought-provoking because the town is portrayed as normal. So that's a concluding sentence. Jackson, her setting of this town being so normal, the people talking about taxes and weather and, women and men and children behaving exactly the way we would expect them to behave when this was written in the 1950s, makes this more, like the student mentioned, ironic that they would do these things at the end. So setting is important. And then the last body paragraph, this student chose to write about characterization, which I think is a good idea. Due to Jackson's clever use of characterization, the reader begins to wonder if the people he or she knows would also be capable of similar brutality if put in a setting where such violence was accepted and promoted. So we talk about how Mr. Summers oversees the whole lottery, but Jackson paints a positive image of him. We feel sorry for him because he devotes so much time to the town. His wife is kind of a scold. He's round-faced and jovial, and so we would never expect him to be behind such extreme dangers. She also mentions Mr. Adams, Old Man Warner, how these people seem so normal and seem so ordinary, yet they continue to promote this violence and this murder in the town. Okay? Pay attention to, again, the conclusion of that paragraph when you read over it yourself. Then finally, in the actual concluding paragraph of the essay, we just reiterated the things that we already talked about. How she uses vivid descriptions of the town, uses symbolism, uses setting to work toward this theme that tradition can be dark, that if we don't consider why we're following tradition, then we may blindly follow something that's completely against what we really believe. We're led to believe that these are normal people who, under normal circumstances, would not condone murder, but because this is how they have been raised, how they've been led to believe, they follow this tradition blindly. And so we always want to kind of broaden this, universalize this in the conclusion. So this sentence right here, the darkness of tradition is veiled by an everyday American town. And the reader, you could even use we here, not you. We don't ever want to use second person pronoun you, but we could even say we are left to ponder what traditions, if any, are blindly followed in today's world. So always broaden this. Always remind your reader that this is not just about the story. This is not just about when it took place, but this can also relate to our world. This can relate to something that we've experienced or something that we've seen happen in our own lives, in our own societies. So always in the conclusion, reiterate what you said and universalize it, broaden the theme that you've chosen to bring out. So remember that literary analysis, one thing it definitely is not, it is not a summary. It is pulling apart the story to show what's the author trying to do, what's she using to prove or to assert something about society, about people, about human nature maybe. If you choose the right story, if you choose one you're interested in, you should be able to easily think of a theme. When you guys wrote about the yellow wallpaper, some of you went too far as summarizing, but you had great ideas about what the yellow wallpaper, what the point of that story was. So I have no doubt that you guys will do a great job on this literary analysis. But if you're confused, if you want to make an appointment with me, we'll go over all this together. We'll make sure that you're on the right track. I worry when it's an online class. I want to make sure that you understand and have a direction for your essay. So if I can help you at all, please let me know.